Hi, everyone. Welcome to this continuing series on how to create your own Cardano stake pool. In today's installment, we're going to be covering how to actually do the meat of setting up the stake pool. Before, we've just been worrying about the server setup, how to install security. We've done a lot of things like set up our two-factor authentication on the server, how to add things like fail to ban that will keep hackers from attempting to get into the server so often. So we've really put a lot of those security measures in. Obviously, nothing is foolproof, but we've tried to make our server as secure as possible. Now, again, I've been following this guide called makeadapool.com. I don't know who created this, but please follow this person and be sure to donate to them. They did a really good job with this guide. But now we're going to start deviating from this guide and do a few separate steps. The reason is when you look at this, we got to this section here, install dependencies. And from this point on, the guide gets quite comprehensive in following a step-by-step set of commands. It's, tens, if not hundreds of pages more of detailed instructions on how to set this up following the guide that you see from the Cardano Foundation. They have these steps, right? And it's pretty complicated to set this thing up. So instead, we're going to use a separate tool, and we're going to use something called CNTOOLS. This is from the Guild Operators. This is a group that has created a set of tools to automate these scripts. And what we're looking at with script automation is basically in running just a few commands, you can do most of the maintenance and setup of these servers without having to type in hundreds and hundreds of commands. You basically are running these shell scripts that will automate most of the tasks for you. So it's a really fast way to set this up. So we're going to cover the fast way to do this today. In the future, I'll go back through and go step by step on how to do this if you want to get more fine-grained control. Sometimes using these scripts, they're not perfect. They have to be updated when Cardano makes changes to the infrastructure. And so, sometimes it may not work perfectly. I've had problems when trying to run this before, but we're going to try for now and see if we can get this thing to work in using these steps. I'd recommend starting this off basically by doing this on either your local machine, or before you start doing this on the server, maybe run it on a test net first. You don't want to do all this live and maybe mess something up. So get some practice running this first. That's what I'm going to do here. Run this on my local machine, and let's try to run the steps and see if we can get this to work. And then you can take this and do this on all three of your servers. Now, a few things to note here in the guide. This has some warnings here when you're going to here. This is I'll post the link here in the description, but this is cardano-community.github.io. I'll put the link here on the video so you can be sure to get to this. But a few things is, it's imperative that you have highly accurate system time on your server. We'll go back through that at a later time, but you do need to have accurate system time. This is going to cause you some problems if you don't have that. Also, you need to be sure you have your firewall rules set up. And we'll also go through that a little bit later as well. This is something important as we start to set up the server. You want to make sure your firewall rules are set up so only certain machines can access your server here. So you don't want every machine out on the internet, every IP address to be able to access your server, because that's how hackers can also get in. So you want to set up a good firewall protection and only allow certain IP addresses in, only allow certain traffic to hit your server. We've already done this. Update your SSH configuration to prevent password-based login. So that's an area of protection. And then we're also going to use the offline workflow. So when you're just testing this on the testnet, you can do the online workflow. It's good to get practice. But eventually, we're going to use offline workflow. What does that mean? We're going to be setting this up on a air-gapped computer, meaning a computer that has never been plugged into the network, will not be plugged into the network. You don't have your Wi-Fi turned on. You don't have Ethernet cable plugged in, anything like that. It doesn't have a connection to any kind of internet. And that way, you're going to create and store your keys there, your private keys. And those keys are very critical because anybody who accesses those keys could steal your funds. They could basically hijack your stake pool. So you don't want that to happen. You want to keep those on an air-gapped computer where it's not connected to the network. And that really increases your security, because in that way, for a hacker to hack your stake pool, they would actually have to come into your house, steal your machine, steal your files physically, in order to get that. So air gap computer is going to be critical. But for now, we're just going to run the online workflow to make it easy to show how this works, because obviously doing an offline computer, air gap computer, would be quite crazy, right? So we're going to follow these simple steps, and as you can see, it's like just about 4 or 5 commands that we have to do to get this thing up and running, compared to quite a lot of commands if you do this without this. So, first things first, we're going to run this command here, which is just going to make a directory, home/temp, and then we're going to cd into that directory. And so do that. Okay, so I already had this directory created, so we're in here. And then if you don't have it, I think most of you probably do have this, but you need to install curl. So I'll just run this real quickly just to see. You have to type in your password. So again, super secure password. Okay, and you can see it'll set everything up here for curl. All right. This could take a couple minutes here. So while it's doing that, we're going to now copy this long command here. I won't read all of this out to you because this is quite big, but this is going to have you go out and get stuff from the code from the guild operators on GitHub. So be sure to do that. So we're going to put this here. And there it's got the code from the guild operators, see, pretty fast. And then we will now come and run this command here at the bottom. And this is gives us permission to run. So chmod 755 guild deploy.sh. So let's run that. And that's going to give us permission to run this. Now, what it's saying here is you need to kind of familiarize yourselves with the options that you have when running the next script, right? This is the deploy script that's going to install your dependencies, and there's a lot of different things you can do. The main ones that I usually start with is this -n, which is selecting the network that you want. Now I'm going to just run this for the mainnet here to get started, but I would suggest that you run this on testnet first. So and this will show you here. You could say like you can say -n. If you run it without this, it'll just run on the mainnet. So that's what I'm going to do. But you can do -n and put the testnet. You could also, when you're running this in offline mode, there's different commands to run this in online mode. There's you kind of familiarize yourself with this list. I won't go through all of these options because it take quite a while, but that's important. Okay, so what we'll do here is we'll just run this command here. I'm just going to run it without any options to show how this would work. So let's just run this, and then this can take quite a long time. You can see it's going to update your system packages. It's going to run for quite a long time. So what I'll do is I'll stop here and wait for this to install. And once it's finished, I'll come back and we'll finish the next steps. Okay, so now our script is finished running. In my case, I have installed everything already, so it didn't take that long. But for you, it may take quite a while for this to install all the dependencies if you don't have them already. So then after that, I just ran one more quick command, this dot parentheses $ curly braces home /.bashrc and then the parentheses. And now we should be all set up. One thing to note now is this will have installed a lot of files for you. And this is going to be at your /opt /Cardano /CNOOLS folder. And in there's a lot of files. You can go through this list and you can see things like the scripts folder, which has all the scripts that you're going to run to manage your stake pool. You have your private folder that's going to hold all of your keys for your stake pool, for your wallets and everything. It's a very important folder, so we're not going to store a lot of your private keys in here on the server, but you will do this on your offline node. So this is the basics that you just need to do to get your prerequisite set up. And now you should have the basics that you need on your server to run your stake pool. What I'm going to do in the next video is I'll show you how to do some other tasks. We're going to need to set up your firewall, of course. We're going to need to set up your wallet. We're going to need to set up your your stake pool itself, but at least now you have the prerequisite set up, and going from here should be quite easy. Okay, this was the fast way to do this using CNTOOLS. I really recommend this tool, but in another video, we might go through and do this more directly. As a reminder, I do this to also support my own stake pool, ANCH, Anchor of Hope. And be sure that you go to my pool and stake your Cardano with me so we can help to grow the ecosystem, make the system more decentralized. My stake pool benefits nonprofits here in East Africa, so it's quite a good cause. So also there's a great benefit to doing that. So if you like this content, you'd like to see more of it, please support these videos with ANCH, Anchor of Hope Stake Pool, and be sure to stake your Cardano there.